So the first lesson is we must confront hard emotions. The more we shove under the rug, the worse it gets. Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about this all the time, right? If you start to avoid hard conversations or hard emotions and you just shove it under the rug, initially it's just like a little Bic flame, a little Bic lighter. It doesn't really do no damage. You can smack it down with the rug. There's no fire. It doesn't happen. Eventually that Bic flame, as the more you avoid hard conversations and hard emotions, that Bic flame turns into a fucking dragon, and that dragon burns your house down because you kept avoiding and avoiding and avoiding, and now your house is burnt down, and now you have to pick it all the way up from the ground up instead of attacking it when it's just a big flame, confronting it head on and seeing how you can have those hard conversations, hard emotions, all sorts of things. I mean, the hardest emotion for me to confront with my sister's death was relief. I was at these suicide loss survivor groups, which were absolutely incredible, which were put on by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which I encourage anyone to check out. And I just couldn't figure out like what was happening, what emotion I was avoiding, because I felt some uneasiness. And this was maybe a year or two after my sister passed. And I'm hearing this one person talk who also lost their sibling to suicide, and maybe they're 6, 7, 8 years on their journey, and they're talking about the sense of relief they had when they lost their sibling. I was like, the fuck? Relief? Relief that your sibling is dead? Get the fuck out of here. That's horrible. How could you feel relief? You didn't love him? You didn't care for him? And then you start to think about this more, and that's really the feeling and the emotion that I was avoiding. Because my sister had issues. She was in some mental institutions, and the police were called a couple of times, and there was a few attempts. And so there's always this looming black cloud over your head. Is this the day you get the call? Is this, whatever the case may be? And so when someone passes away, I no longer have to constantly worry. And so confronting that sense of relief was extremely challenging for me, but also at the same time was very freeing. And so I tried to avoid it for the longest amount of time I could. I tried to avoid confronting myself. I tried to avoid confronting that emotion or what that person said in that support group, but I couldn't. I couldn't no longer. And once I tackled it and confronted it head on, attacking that big flame and not letting the dragon get too big so it burned my fucking house down, it was helpful. There was a sense of relief in me that I could understand and confront that word relief. And so that's a lesson I learned in a very condensed way, but we must confront hard emotions, hard conversations, or anything hard head on. And the more you avoid, the harder it gets over a long period of time. And then again, the dragon will burn your fucking house down. Patreon is the home of our exclusive community where we do bonus episodes, live streams, Q&As, and merch discounts, and so much more. Patreon is the #1 way to support this podcast and to support my mental health nonprofit called You Are Loved.